Hey everybody, welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. This is going to be kind of different because I don't think anybody's ever heard me talk about the Vanquish. The Vanquish has always been one of those cars that I thought looked spectacular. Now, I don't want to dive into the cosmetics or the performance of the car because we are going to have a buyer's guide on the Vanquish coming up shortly. What I wanted to talk about was when this Vanquish arrived, it pretty much arrived like this. And this isn't entirely true because it did have the hub here. Unfortunately, it was broken straight across. You can see it straight across there. I glued it back together. Straight through here and on top, this whole piece had come off. And on this side here, it was split straight across here. The other side of the car is in better shape, but it too shows signs of cracking. The reason for this is the hub is made out of a very hard material. This is good to keep geometry consistent when going over rough terrain, but it is not good for wear and tear. Stress on these can often result in cracks. Anybody that has a Tamiya hotshot can attest to this. Usually manufacturers will get around having something very rigid by using different materials. Team Associated used nylon for their suspension. This makes the suspension very rigid. Unfortunately, it also makes it more susceptible to breakage. Now on the Vanquish, if we kind of investigate a little further, this rear trailing arm is a very, very soft gummy plastic. That means this part is going to last forever. Unfortunately, this hub is not going to fare as well. So we're going to take this and get rid of it and replace it with some new ones from Ampro Engineering. These are direct fits, but as usual, they are going to require some preparation before we install these. There is no left and right. They're the same for each side. Let's go ahead and break the nylon here. Let's get ready to install these. The screws that go into the bottom mount are machine screws. So this is designed to be 2.4 millimeters in diameter, but the reason for that is because I want to clear it out and make it 2.5. So we're going to take my 2.5 bit, like so. You must not use a 3 millimeter bit as you will completely strip out the hole. When you are done with that, you can then put your 3 millimeter bit in and just clear out the top one. The top one is designed to be 3.1. The 3 millimeter bit is just going to clear out any loose debris. All clean. Remember that if you don't do this, you're going to risk binding on the top, and on the bottom, you risk simply not getting the screw started. The next thing we want to do is clean out the bearing locations. So it's a little easier to see on the front. Basically, I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, and please be careful. These are very, very sharp. And I'm going to run the X-Acto knife just in this corner over here. I want to make sure that the edge is cleaned out, because if there's any debris in this sharp edge, then the bearing will not seat all the way. So we'll do this on the outside. All right, so that's all done. I'll do it to the inside. It might be a little harder to see here. Again, you just have to run your blade over it just to get out any kind of residue. Right now, we can begin to reassemble the suspension. I'll put this bearing in here, all the way in. Same on the other side. It's a little bit tougher because this bearing actually drops into this hole. So we will use the hub to help seat it. I gave it a little more of a push, and you just want to make it so that the C-clip channel is visible. So let's put the C-clip in. There's our hub. So let's not forget to put the dog bone in. There's this wire over here. The dog bone in there. And we'll take the shoulder screw. And where's it? And we'll get it started right here. So it's really not great to have machine screws threading into any kind of plastic, but that is the way it was done. And alternatives might be a little bit dangerous. I mean, we could put a slightly longer M3 and put a nut on the inside, but it's going to require a lot of modification, and you know, it's simply not worth it for this particular vehicle. Remember that when you are threading a machined thread into plastic, you do not want to over tighten. When it stops, remember that it's done. For the rear arm, we're going to put the screw first, then a washer, and this is how the car was assembled originally, so I really hope this is correct. push it all the way through, and we'll put a lock nut on this side here. Bust out our handy tool and snug it up. And there we have it. The hub was installed on both the left and the right side of the car, so I'm pretty excited to see that. I was actually contemplating what color to make it. My initial thought was to go ahead and go yellow because the shocks are yellow and kind of match. One of my friends told me that, well, the red might actually help with the car's contrast and the car's color scheme, and I gotta say he was right. I mean, don't tell him I said that, but you know, he was right. Again, stay tuned. We are going to have a running video and a buyer's guide on the Vanquish. I'm also going to go over the Avanti. I don't own an Egress, so I think we'll be able to kind of extrapolate how that one's going to be based on how the Vanquish and the Avanti run. Well, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. I'm just going to reassemble this car while we're ending this video here. I hope you enjoyed this. I know the Vanquish was kind of out of left field, but it's always nice to work on something a little bit different. Cool, there we have it. All right. There we go. That's better. Good looking car. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I've got a lot of awesome stuff coming up. In fact, I think you all deserve a little bit of a sneak preview here. I have shown off the dash panel for the Blackfoot that I've developed here. Here you can see a Blackfoot body that has a mock-up for a complete interior. As we dive a little bit deeper, here is a door panel. This little cluster here, it's a little bit hard to see. We have a column stock, a couple of door handles, door locks, the key slot, the horn button, a couple of shifters, steering wheel, the dash panel itself, the dash bezel, radio bezel, steering column, couple of where's the other one? Very, very tiny vents here. It's hard to see, but if you look at this one over here, you can see that they are in fact see-through. And these two little guys here, this one and this panel, these are actually all clear, they're just painted. These two you'll also paint, but they will provide fiber optics for illuminated gauges, as well as the radio, clock, and AC controls. But wait, there's more. We've also got a lower and upper chassis brace for the Blitzer cars, as well as the Falcon, so those will be out very, very soon. As well as something that I'm super excited about, it's these little weird looking orange dealies. These are adapters for 3 different kinds of vintage Novak speed control power switches. These should be up, I believe, in the next episode, so we shall see. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.